Welcome to our virtual September Make It program. This month we are doing Crochet 101 with a simple pencil pouch that I use to carry all my crochet hooks and needles, but that would be perfect for school supplies, office supplies, or anything you just want to carry around. I got the pattern from Persia Lou. You can find the link to the original pattern below the video so you can follow along. To begin our project, you'll need to grab your materials. I'm starting with a crochet hook that's 5.5 millimeters and a ball of yarn that is worsted weight or number 4. You can also buy a skein at the store. I'm just using a scrap ball of yarn for this project. To make a slip knot, you'll dangle the end of the yarn over your finger like so. Then you'll wrap the long end of the yarn around your 2 fingers and flip your hand over so that you can see 2 lines of yarn on the back. Take the yarn closest to your wrist, pull it over the yarn in front of it, and then push it under, making sure to never let go of that same piece of yarn. Pull your fingers out and pull the yarn tight so that you have a slip knot with a loop that you can adjust. This is very important so that you can adjust the loop on your hook and get it to the right tension. Now that we have our slip knot made, we can start crocheting. I hold the crochet hook with my right hand because I'm right-handed, and with my left hand, I loop the yarn over my index finger and hold the knot below the slip knot with my thumb and middle finger. We're going to start with what is called the chain stitch. Put your hook under the long strain of yarn, hook it, and pull it through the loop. This is a chain stitch. You're going to do 30 of these. Once you've completed your set of 30 chain stitches, you should have a long chain like the one shown here. Now for the first row, we're going to start with single crochet stitches. You'll want to start in the second loop from the hook, so count over 1, 2, and then insert your hook into that loop. Grab the yarn with your hook, pull it through the initial loop so that you have 2 loops of yarn on your hook. Then grab some yarn with your hook and pull it through both of those loops, and that is a single crochet stitch. You're going to do that in every loop across the chain, so you should have 29 single crochet stitches when you're finished. Remember, it doesn't matter how fast or slow you crochet, just take your time and try to make sure your stitches are even. The most common mistake I see is people letting go of the yarn with their left hand, which makes it more difficult to keep your project steady. When you get to the end of the row, do your single crochet in the last loop as you normally would, and pull the short length of yarn tight so that that ending is not loose. Chain 1 and flip your work so that you can go down in the second row on the opposite direction. You will do the same thing in row 2 as you did in row 1. Find the first single crochet from row 1 near your hook, insert your hook, pull the yarn through, yarn over, pull that yarn through, and make your single crochet. Continue this all the way across so you have 29 single crochet stitches. You will continue creating rows of single crochets until your work measures about 9 inches. I use a simple fabric measuring tape to measure my work, but you could use a ruler or a regular measuring tape. Mine's a little under 9 inches, but it's good enough for this project. Okay, so we are starting the final row of our project with the fun little ridges. So to begin with, you're going to make sure you have a firm grip on your yarn, and then you will chain one. And then in the first stitch next to the chain, you're going to do a single crochet, just like we've been doing for the rest of the project. And then you'll do another single crochet in the stitch next to that. Now you're going to skip 2 stitches, and in the third stitch, you are going to do 5 double crochets. I show you a couple of different stitches here, but to do the double crochet, you're going to yarn over your hook, put the hook through the stitch at the bottom, yarn over and pull back through so that you have 3 loops over your hook. And then you're going to yarn over, pull the yarn through the first 2 loops, yarn over again, and pull that yarn through the second 2 loops, and that's a double crochet. You're going to do 5 of those in this stitch. And that should give you the nice kind of ridge that we have going on here. Gives it a little bit of a different look. So once you've done the 5, you're going to skip 2 stitches, and in the third stitch you're going to do a single crochet, and then do that across until you get to the middle. And make sure you're following your pattern that you found in your kit or online using the link below. When you get to the middle, you're going to chain 10. This is to make the loop that goes around your button to close your pouch. If you want a smaller loop, you can chain fewer, but since the pattern calls for 10, that's what we're going to do in the tutorial. Once you've come to the end of your chain stitches, you're going to insert your hook into the first chain at the very bottom, closest to your work, and do what we call a slip stitch. So you put your hook through the chain and yarn over, pulling the yarn back through the chain, and then through the original loop that you had on your hook, and that's called a slip stitch. And then you'll you're going to create a single crochet in the next stitch over, and then follow your pattern, skipping stitches, doing single crochets, and then 5 double crochets in one stitch until you get to the end of the row. Okay, so now we get to put our work together. So you'll want to cut any excess yarn that you have left off so that you just have one little string left. Pull the bottom of your project up about 3 to 4 inches so that you get this nice little pouch. The top part will go down over the top because it's going to hook over the button to close. Now turn your work so that the right side is facing the top of your table. You're going to take what's left of your yarn and just make a little loop, no slips, a slip not needed. You'll put your hook through the first part of your project on the bottom, but not through both, and just pull that loop through so that you have a loop on your hook to begin with. Put the tail end of your yarn inside the project and we'll come back to it. You're going to do single crochets through both the front and back of the pouch to seal it closed. You just want to make sure they're evenly spaced as you go across. Once you get to the top of the pouch part to where you're in the lid part, you're just going to continue your single crochets evenly spaced until you get to the very top row. And it's here that you can turn your work and use the stitches from that last row to create evenly spaced single crochet stitches across. Once you get to the loop on the top of your project, you're going to insert your hook into the next stitch behind the loop to complete the single crochet. You will then continue doing single crochets across the top of the project. When you get to the end, there's a long string and you want to just work that into the project. So hold it against the project, single crochet into all of your stitches on the side, making sure that you keep that longer loop that was cut off in between the yarn you are working into the project and the all parts that are already completed. Now, once you get to the folded part, you'll want to insert your hook through both the front and the back pieces so that they are crocheted together to complete the pouch. And you'll do single crochets all the way down the side. When you get to the end, do your last single crochet, cut your yarn with enough space to work it in, and pull that yarn through the loop and tighten it. Then you're going to go inside your pouch, put the hook through one of the holes down at the bottom, and pull that piece of yarn through. Now, normally you'd like to work that yarn into the project seamlessly, but we're just going to pull it through for today. We have another piece sticking out, so I'm going to pull that through. I will put a link to finishing off videos so you can see how to work that little piece of yarn into your project. So to complete the project, we're going to add a button to the front of the pencil pouch. You'll fold over the top and pull your loop down so that you can see where the button needs to go. Using a needle and thread, you'll mark the spot right in the middle of the loop where you want your button to go. If you want it in a different place, that's fine. You can put it down lower so that it holds together tighter. I'm leaving some thread loose so that we can work it in later. Now, you're just going to attach your button to the front and then stick your hook or needle through and just sew it right on there. So you want a button that either has a loop on the back or holes in the front so that you can sew it on. You just keep going until it's nice and tight and secure and you're not worried about it falling off. And then once you get to a point where you think it's secure, you'll go into the back to really secure it. Put your needle through the yarn at an angle, leaving a loop that you can then put your needle through to pull the yarn into a knot. And you'll do that 2 or 3 times just to make sure the button is really secure on there. And then you'll take scissors and cut that off, the excess off, and you are all done. Thank you so much for joining us for this month's virtual craft program. Be sure to tune in next month for our e-textile project. We'll be making bookmarks with a technology twist.